I had to sneak the training. I would take my dad's truck.
How old?
Oh man, I was about 17.
17. Okay.
I was about 17. I
Okay.
started late compared to what what typical boxers would start. But I would have to sneak to the gym. Since my dad worked the night shift, he would never be out around 6, 7, 8 p.m. He's already asleep during the evening. So I would take his truck, drive to 3rd Ward, train from like 6 to 8 or 7 to 9, get his truck back home in time. Almost got robbed a few times, leaving the gyms, nothing but drug dealers and this and that out there. It's a good spirit and community, but you got the bad seeds all around. So you want to get in, train, and dip. I had to pay my coach in cigarettes with the change that was in my dad's like cup holder, change holder, whatever. Wow. I would go buy Newport Longs before walking in the gym and take them in.
That was the payment for coaching.
That was a payment to get some attention.
Yeah, but it worked.
It worked.
But that was the ground floor of learning how to box.
Yes.
That was the ground floor. Where did you get – is that where you got your desire for the sport at that point? Or did it kind of like – it kind of sparked something, but later that grew.
I think back to myself sometimes, and I'm like, what really got you? I think just having such a work ethic already. Yeah. Like I was naturally drawn to it once I got into it. Okay. It kind of just happened naturally. Once the first time I actually start hitting and moving and dodging and experiencing that struggle. Naturally, I wanted more of that. Okay. So I got stuck. Yeah. In a good way.
In a good way. Yeah, a good way. So then you're in San Antonio and you start. When did the training start? When did that particularly start?
Yeah. So after the little Google search, 2 months into being here. So this is 2006 in like September. Just think about whenever a college semester would start. I actually was spending more time at the boxing gym than I was actually on campus. Okay. You know what I mean? So, yes, I started in 06 September.
06 time frame.
Yep.
So then fast forward, you're at a point where you're like, okay, you had the different jobs leading up to it. At what point did you say, hey, maybe I should look into training? Like maybe I should look into this idea of actually helping other people reach some fitness goals?
Man, that this is one of those answers that has like 2 or 3 sides to it. Yeah. And I'm going to keep it as succinct as possible. So I was working at the insurance company for Nationwide while I was working, while I was going to college, but also boxing. So while I was at the insurance company, it just didn't feel right. I was working in insurance claims as a CSR. So I took the incoming calls, when you're on the side of the road and what have you. And it was fulfilling in a sense. But I think for me, I just had so many bad run-ins with being too creative in an uncreative environment. Yeah. Insurance is the most black and white business that you will ever encounter. Like it literally is black and white. There isn't like even when discounts are advertised, they're not really discounts. Like whatever is the risk assessment is the risk assessment. Yeah. So anyway, I was one of those people where, I like to, be free and be imaginative and these types of things. And it didn't fit in too well in the office, right?
Yeah. With a shirt and tie.
Man.
Like, how crazy.
Oh man. Like imagine how you see me every day. I'm in shorts. I'm in, Black Stallion Boxing shirt. Just relaxed and we can have fun while training. Yeah. In that environment, it's more like, hey, you walk in, you clock in, you put on your headset, you sit there, you wait for calls, you don't move, you don't joke, you don't, So anyway, all the while I was thinking that I was just the worst employee ever. And I probably was. Right. I probably was the worst employee ever. Right. But the problem is, no one really comes and shows you or explains to you that the worst employee may make the best entrepreneur. Right. So in that, working in this insurance department, I would always have people come up to me and be like, hey, Tony, how are you in such great shape? What do you mean you ran before coming into work, or you ran during lunch, or you're going to go to the boxing gym after an 8-hour, 10-hour shift? Like, what do you mean? Like, oh, you should come to happy hour. Oh, we got a potluck. It just seemed like food and drinks were just being thrown at you every single day. Yeah. There wasn't really a culture of like wellness per se.
Right.
Like maybe there was like, I don't know. I don't remember wellness being at the forefront. I just remember potlucks, and people gaining weight all around me, but then circling back saying, hey, can you train me on the weekends or can you write me a meal plan?
Yeah.
So it was in my face the whole
That's interesting.
time. I was doing it for free.
Yeah. So but you know what that was? What that was part of your lifestyle was a sign, right, to people. The way you lived, the way you looked was a sign to the people like, I want that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so then you started over time, you started realizing I have something to give.
Yeah.
Which is if you're in an environment where you don't feel like you have something to give, then you stay stuck. Right?
Yeah,
like if
100%.
you just kind of stay stuck
That's
in
how I
this
felt.
moment. That's probably how you felt. But over time, after helping all these people and talking through it, you're like, wait a minute. So when did it click?
So this is the way they click. Once again, by accident. After I left that job, willingly or unwillingly.
Yeah. That's funny.
You had to check my resume to figure that out.
That's funny.
So I actually applied for another insurance job, and the way I did it was unorthodox, the way I do everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got creative. This was after the graveyard digging gig. I applied to a job by emailing directly to the president of the insurance department at a company I won't even name.
Yep.
And this guy now is a great friend of mine and a great client of mine to this day. And I just sent them a cold email.
Wow.
But I made sure, because one of my secret superpowers is writing. I love writing more than I do reading. Not saying that reading isn't fundamental and important, but I love to express myself on paper and then make sense of it. You know what I mean? Like a self-education, putting a mirror in front of myself. So I love writing more than reading. So I really broke it down. I knew when I pressed send that whoever reads this is going to get back. Yeah, they're going to call me.
Call you.
I bet you money they'll call me.
Yeah.
He called me.
Yeah.
I was actually in process of getting ready to go to the Olympic qualifier in Colorado Springs for a boxing match. So I was like at the end of camp, and at the end of camp, you got to make weight. So I'm like drained, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, can you come in for an interview this Friday? It was after like a few days he emailed me back. And I was like, okay, well, I leave to this tournament the next day. But I'm like, hey, I'll come in. But if I'm a little bit drained, I just want to explain to you why. And then so next thing you know, when I get in there, he says, hey, you mentioned something about a boxing tournament. I was like, yeah, I'm going, blah, blah, blah. It's Colorado Springs, whatnot. He was like, actually, I own a boxing gym. And I was like,
Get
what?
out of here. Yeah.
And so an interview that I was walking into pretty much emaciated, hadn't had water in like the last 24 hours, turned into like two guys just kicking back, talking about boxing. And then we got to talking about insurance a little bit. And then he's looking at me, recognizing what I'm saying that nobody had recognized in me before. Yeah. And he's like, look, I could potentially have a job for you at some point. Yeah. But I want you to come by my gym. Yeah. Just check it out. Yeah. Just check it out. And he was like, have you ever considered being a trainer? And I was like, no, but I'll come by. Yeah. And the rest is history.
Man, you want to talk about a divine,
it's crazy.
Right? Like think about all of that came together. Number one, your love of writing. And this is, the young people that listen to this, I know you think school, I have this conversation with my son. My son is like, is school really, like, what am I really learning, Yeah. And it's like, writing is one of those things that you need to learn really, really well. You got to have the basics, right? And so that writing, love of writing, number one. Number two, the creativity to go, I'm just going to email the president. Yeah. Why not? Right?
Straight to the top, baby.
Why not? Now, wait a minute. And then you go, hey, the serendipity of the fact that he owned a gym. Like, how crazy is that?
Man.
So crazy.
No words.